talking to you on the ones and twos. DJ Niecy D spreading the news. Nubian queen, worldwide play that. New music, she ain't scared to break that. DJ Niecy D, I like it when you play my song. Niecy
D. Hey, it's your girl DJ Niecy D with another episode of the Niecy D Show, coming from you from the Blue Sky Media Group Studios, baby. And I got a guest for you today. I'm super excited. My brother from another mother, Jerry Ice Reynolds, former Orlando Magic player. We're going to get into a whole lot of everything. Hey.
Hey, what's up, Niecy D? So good to see you again, girl.
Likewise. How you been?
I've been great. No complaints.
I know that's right.
Life has been very good.
Living your best life.
Been very good to me.
That means God is still in the blessing business.
Please believe it. Believe it. Yeah.
So we're going to jump right in because I know that you have been sharing some things with me about a documentary that is kind of circulating and going on. Ballside Middle. Right?
Ballside Middle.
A Brooklyn basketball story. Is that it?
That's it.
Tell me about that. I understand you're in there.
Yeah, I'm.
Tell us why you're in there, because it's a reason why you're in there. And
the basketball story goes. It's a period in Brooklyn basketball that is from 1975 to 1985.
Okay.
And I fall right into that.
Yes, you do.
Into that time. So it goes through my high school career to my, pre-high school actually, because in 74, 75, 76, I was just going to high school.
Okay.
And so it actually, for me, in my part in the documentary, it kind of goes from my youth basketball to high school and to college and to the NBA.
Okay.
So
this is an important story to tell, because I always say if we don't tell our story, someone else will tell the narrative from their perspective, and it may be true and it may not be true. So how important is such types of documentaries?
It's a huge story because it touches on so many aspects of basketball in Brooklyn during that time period, and it touches on the culture of New York and outside of basketball,
right?
Just the political climate of the time, all of the stuff that we had to go through.
Right. And let's talk about that. I think that's very relative. One of the things that stood out for me watching the Whitney Houston story that did not stay in theaters long, and I pretty much figured because it was just too much truth for people to fathom. But let's talk about that time and what was going on in the community and what was going on politically and how that affected our community.
Well, the racism is what my friend Craig Booth, who's the creator of Ballside Middle, and he just went so deep into the whole racial climate of that 10-year period, which was very segregated, because a lot of people think that New York is not that segregated,
like a melting pot,
as the South is,
right.
So they, think that it's different, but it really wasn't different. It was some areas that that weren't healthy,
right.
for us young kids to be going into. And he was talking about the school busing, and I was actually bused for a couple of years.
So you were bused from where you live into another area to go to school.
Yeah. I think I was probably in the third grade, third and fourth grade. I had to bus from Brooklyn to go to a school in Queens, which was about an hour bus ride on the yellow bus. But then he was mentioning about the fact that when he went to high school, he took the city bus. He was, he had to go through different neighborhoods and got attacked, once he was in the white neighborhoods and stuff like that.
Makes me think about that Howard Beach situation back in the day.
Yeah.
So those were some realities that you had to endure yourself.
Yeah. We got chased home a few times from a few high schools that weren't in black neighborhoods. They were actually in, Italian neighborhoods or whatever. So it was, it was pretty intense, to say the least, for young teenagers to be having to experience that.
Right. I can only imagine. I mean, just the fear, the trauma, that just. It's got to be scary. You're young and you're just trying to get to school or to home.
Yeah.
And you're getting chased one way or the other. It's always something.
Yeah, guys pull up in cars with baseball bats and screaming out, nigga, get out of here, nigga, we don't want you around here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And we running for our lives.
Right.
We think they're going to kill us.
The real fear for your life. Yeah.
So, looking back at it now, it helped build some character in us, and prepared us as, as I went to college and, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, from Brooklyn, New York. I was kind of prepared for whatever it was I was going to face.
Yes.
And I think New York and Brooklyn had a lot to do with, preparing us
Absolutely.
for life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So it talks about your journey, and it talks about some of the other, I guess you could say, trailblazers in basketball out of the Brooklyn area that and you played with as well. Anyone that you could mention?
There's quite a few notable names that are going to be mentioned in the documentary. Chris Mullin being a Dream Team guy that played with Jordan and those guys with the Dream Team, and he's also a Hall of Famer. I played against Chris in high school. A very good friend of mine. Who else?
And the reason I ask is because that plays a role when you're balling or whatever your skill is or whatever your sport is, and you're in the company of other people who have a lot of talent as well, and you guys are feeding off each other. It's a good, healthy competition. What was the atmosphere like?
Yeah, it was always very competitive, no matter if you were friends or not before the game. When we start playing, it's like, you're not my friend anymore. Right. So that was just the culture and the time that we grew up in, and it's so much different now. How guys are so friendly now. They doing dances and giving all these handshakes and stuff before the game and stuff like that.
None of that, huh? It's like, nah, son.
Yeah. So it's just different now, and but the culture is still very positive, and
well, did you have a signature move back then? What did they know Jerry Ice Reynolds for?
Well, back then, no, I just was a pretty good all around basketball player when I was coming up and developing. So it's funny because the worst, and I tell kids this when I teach basketball, that shooting was the worst part of my game. Okay. And that blows their mind. That, well, how did you make it if you couldn't shoot? Right. I'm like, well, I got an answer for that. I was a good rebounder. I played good defense. I was a good teammate. I was coachable.
Which is why it's important to be an all-around player.
Yeah. Being able to do everything is better than being able to do one thing. So, that's being 6'8", and having a big growth spurt, and being able to do all of those things. I think that's what propelled me to be a professional.
So what age were you, or what grade were you when you got your height? That when you hit that particular height where you knew, okay, I got the skill and the height?
Well, my growth spurt didn't start until high school. I went to high school, I was 5'9". Okay. By the time I left high school, I was 6'7". So in those years in high school, and I got a funny story that
share it. We love stories. Share it.
So the way I found out I was growing, other than people telling me, because when people tell you, I can't really feel it or see it when they say, you're getting tall. I say, okay, whatever. So I'm going to high school as a freshman, and I used to take the train to go to school, subway. So when I'm getting in the subway, I didn't have to duck when I first started going to high school.
Oh, okay.
So, my freshman year, I didn't have to duck.
just
My
going
sophomore
on the train.
year, I didn't have to duck.
Yeah.
I'm just going into the train. So I think it was my junior year. I was probably like 16, 17 years old, my junior year. And I go into the train one day, and I hit my head on the top of the entrance to go in the train. And it hurt so bad. I think I probably got a speed knot on my head, but I had to play it off and act like it didn't hurt that much. People probably was looking at me. I didn't know, but I know I was just like, oh, man, damn, that hurt. So that's when I kind of finally felt like, wow, I am actually growing. Like, this is like serious. I'm getting tall for real. So the entrance to the train was 6'5". Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, when I was like 16, I turned from 5'9" to 6'5", like in about 2 years.
Wow. So who were some of your mentors? You balling, you hooping, you doing anything?
Well, in the documentary as well, they talk about some of the coaches.
Okay.
And the people, the mentors and the coaches and these older gentlemen that
They're
kind
like
of
staples in the community,
yeah,
aren't they?
exactly. That took us under their wings and got us out of harm's way as far as all of the gangs and all of these negative things that were happening in the neighborhood. So there are coaches, and one in particular, his name is Lester Roberts, and he's in the documentary like all through it. People paying homage to him. He was the founder of what would be considered an AAU organization, but it wasn't called that back then. An organization called Brooklyn, USA, and he was kind of the founder. And then my high school coach worked under him, and my youth coach worked under him. So it was like an umbrella of coaches that really knew the game, and they were really great gentlemen and talk to kids in the right way and
these
all of
these
those
are people
things.
that are like unsung heroes. They're not household names, but they are touching lives all the time.
Absolutely.
And just over and over and over again. And it's really good that this documentary will bring that to life for a lot of them. That's really good.
And that for me, that's one of the parts of that Craig Booth, when he said that we're going to reach back and talk about Lester and Ray, and Ray Haskins was my high school coach, and Lloyd McCroy. These are guys that taught me and countless others the game, how to be men, how to be respectful, how to be coachable, and be successful in life. So
and we need so many men like that in the community for our youth and for our males. So that shout out to Craig Booth for what he's doing and bringing that to the forefront and highlighting those gentlemen. So I understand you are working on or have a book coming out soon.
Yeah, I've been working on that for about 4 years now, writing my autobiography.
Okay, let me see. Get the title right. The Unorthodox Rise to the Top of Basketball?
Of the basketball world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we get some, I want to get that, the exclusive.
Yeah, and the reason I use the word unorthodox is because of, me being 58 now, I look at other books or, people that have had good careers in basketball and the way they ascended through their careers was totally different from mine. Mine wasn't even close to anybody else's. That's why I use the word unorthodox.
Okay.
Yeah, because starting off, not having my dad was kind of unfortunately normal in the black community where dads are not around, and mine was no different. So my dad wasn't around,
I can relate.
And my mother had 6 total kids, and I happened to be the youngest. So in my book, I just start with my youth and my mother being hard of hearing. And she kind of fooled everybody because people thought she could hear, but she was, I guess, great at reading lips and looking at you when you talked. And so she lost her hearing right the year before I was born. She went totally deaf. So she never heard me talk heard me out of all her children. She had her hearing with her other kids, but with me, she was totally deaf since my birth, all the way through. So I had a different relationship with her, and so as a result, so fast forward now. Now I'm in high school. I tell my mom, look, one day you're gonna watch me play on TV. And my mom was one of those moms where didn't graduate high school. My dad didn't graduate high school, so that, she wasn't academically inclined. But her everything was, you need to get that high school diploma. Right. She didn't even talk about college to me.
Just get the
like,
diploma.
You got to get that high school diploma. Yeah. And so that's what it was. So when I told her, I said, Mom, one day you're gonna watch me play on TV. She was like, boy, if you don't get out my face and go study them books, you ain't gonna go anywhere.
Let's start with the diploma.
You got to get that high school diploma. So, and so fast forward again. So I think I told her that when I was like 16 or 17. So the year after, I think it was, I was 18, and I played in the first high school basketball game that was ever televised on national television. Okay. And who knew? I had no idea that, when I said that to her when I was just kind of talking smack and stuff. And, I wasn't even that good at the time. I was okay, but, I wasn't no superstar or anything like that. I guess I was cocky in a sense.
You believe in yourself.
And that happened. And, so for her to be able to watch me play in high school, was special for me, and to be to have that game, and I played and won MVP, most valuable player in that game.
Wow.
And then they interviewed me after the game. And I was able to look in the camera just like I'm looking here and say, "Hi, Mom," on TV. Wow. So for me, mentally, I was just thinking that I was straight talking to her.
Right.
And she could read my lips and hear me say, "Hi, Mom," or see me say, "Hi, Mom."
How magnificent
and
moment is that?
So that was something that was that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life.
Right.
And now other stories of that unorthodox rise. Another moment is where when I was in college, and I was a junior in college, and I had my best year as a sophomore. So my junior year was a kind of a down year for me. So after we finished in the NCAA tournament, we lose to David Robinson and Navy, and after that we go back to college, go back to LSU, and I'm pondering whether I should put my name into the NBA draft or not. Okay. And the fact that I didn't have a better year than my sophomore year, I had a worse year than my sophomore year. So, why am I even thinking about going to the NBA after I had a worse year? Yeah. But on the other flip side of that, I'm thinking, well, what if I come back for my senior year and have another worse year?
Okay.
So I was like,
you were planning your future. You were trying to make moves.
Right, and nobody ever told me, Jerry, you got a shot to go to the NBA. No one ever mentioned those words to me. I never heard it in high school, never heard it in college.
So just really self-driven, self-inspired, just kind of speaking your life into existence.
So I went on a little ride around campus. We had this beautiful campus at LSU surrounded by these beautiful lakes. So I drove to a lake, went in, sat down, and just pondered, like, what should I do? And I couldn't call my mother because she couldn't hear. And then my father wasn't in my life, so I couldn't call him and say, Mom or Dad, I'm thinking about doing X, Y, and Z. Right. And so I just made the decision. And I said, you know what, Jerry, you can probably play in the NBA, just give it a shot. You should go for it. So I go back to my coach's office.
All cocky.
Dale Brown is his name. I still love him. But okay, so I go to his office and I say, Coach, can I talk to you? He said, yeah, Jerry, come on in. So I go in his office and I say, Coach, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to come and get a great education here at LSU. But I think that, I think my game is more suited for the professional game. And just like you sitting here, he looked at me and said, Jerry, I don't think that's a good move. I think, you're too skinny. Those guys will kill you in the NBA, and you can't shoot the ball very well, and blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
He was just telling me all these negative things and stuff, and I was like, okay, coach, that's your opinion, and, you that's okay. Everybody has opinions, but I still think I could, do this.
That part.
And he's like, Jerry, I'm gonna call this guy, and he's the head of scouting for the NBA, and he'll tell you. So he called him. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. He calls him up. Marty Blake is his name. He said, Jerry. He said, tell Jerry that if he goes right now to the NBA, he wouldn't make a red nickel. And so he gives me the phone, and the guy actually says exactly what he said. Mm. But I guess the coach thought I was too hood.
To catch on. Right.
And I wasn't smart enough that he just told the guy what to tell me, what to say to me. Mm-hmm. And so get on the phone, he says the same thing. Jerry, you gonna? I said, okay, thank you, Mr. Blake, for your opinion. Yeah. But I still think that I'm gonna do this, and thanks a lot. So I give him the phone back, and then I thank Coach again, and I say, that's that, and and pretty much the rest is history. And so on draft day, the first phone call I get, the very first phone call, I'll never forget. I was in Los Angeles, working out, getting ready for the draft and all this stuff. So I didn't go to the draft. Mm-hmm. I was in California. The draft was in New York. Mm-hmm. And so I get a call, and it's not even from my agent, to tell me I was a first-round draft pick. Yeah. And, I was the 22nd pick overall. Mm-hmm. The coach, my college coach, Jerry, I heard you got drafted in the first round, and and I knew you could do it. He was like, I knew you could do it. Yeah. And the phone, if it was a cartoon and I could draw a cartoon, the phone would have melted in my hand and just start catching on fire and stuff. But I didn't burn that bridge.
That's good.
I said thank you, and meanwhile in my mind I was like, yeah, right,
you didn't
believe in it. You didn't believe in it, but
I think that's really important because there's oftentimes people are faced with decisions and there's no one to bounce it off of, really no one, and then the person that they go to or people they go to, all they do is drop all these negative nuggets, and it's like, dude, all right, well, I'm gonna have to do this on my own, but clearly God gave you what you needed to be able to do that. That door was open, and you knew it. Something in your spirit knew it.
Yeah, it's very strange, and with the way things are in more recently with the way kids are today, they start hearing, oh, you can be a pro when you're like 12 years old. I think they said LeBron was going to be a pro when he was like 8, 9 years old. That you're destined to be this, that, and the third. That never happened in my life.
Yeah, and then totally again, if somebody kind of, I guess, labels you or puts you on that track, well, then you have other people that's trying to help make that happen too.
Right.
And like you said, you didn't have that. But that's where you come to your very first team that you played with was
in the NBA.
Yes,
Milwaukee Bucks. I was drafted in 22nd overall to the Milwaukee Bucks, and it's funny, there's a story there, too, because the coach tells me when he drafted me that I don't like rookies. So I'm like, to myself, I'm trying to be respectful and cool and everything. And I'm thinking at the same time, like, well, why'd you draft me then? Like, if I'm not going to play and you don't like rookies, like, why'd you draft me, But I didn't say that, of course. But here was my response to him when he told me that. We were in a car. He took me somewhere, and we were just talking, just he and I. Yeah. And he said that to me. He said, Jerry, I don't like rookies. They don't play for me, and da-da-da. I said, well, Coach, I'm going to change that. Yeah. I'm going to be the first rookie that plays for you. And I said, because I'm going to work my butt off and prove to you that I'm going to earn some playing time on your team. And, he really didn't respond. He just kind of shook his head and said, whatever, and, conversation just kept on. But that was my response to him. I do remember that. And he stuck to his word. Yeah. I didn't play that much. But I did have the best seat in the house for for the first 3 years of my career, sitting on that bench and watching the great.
And what does a player really look at? What does a player really watch, and what do they learn when they're sitting on the bench watching the other players?
Well, I can't speak for others, but for me, during that era, the veteran players, which the NBA was a veteran league back then. It wasn't. The younger players didn't come in and start. And, you know, play a lot of minutes unless you were the Michael Jordans and the Charles Barkleys and Patrick Ewings. Those are the guys that were like first player picked. And if you were in the top 5, you started.
Okay.
But if you came after those top 5, you was gonna sit. You was gonna sit down for a little while and check it out. But what I learned from the veterans on the Milwaukee Bucks, Sidney Moncrief, Terry Cummings, Ricky Pierce, those were what we call vets. Those were our vets that you look up to, that you learn from. Yeah. Being around them every day, going to practice, practicing against them, teaches you so much, taught me so much about the game. And, I used to pick their brains and ask them, because the college game is so much different from the professional game, especially back then. So I did learn so much, and it prepared me for when I got to the Magic. And got an opportunity to start.
Right. So when you got to the Magic, that's when I met you.
Yeah. Fast forward.
Fast forward
to 1989 is when I got here to Orlando.
And you were a part of, I like to call it the regime. It was like
the regime. Yeah.
So
the OGs.
But for real. I mean, that was a beast of a team then.
Yeah, we when I first came to Orlando, it was an expansion team. So we had guys from around the NBA to come to Orlando and make a team. That's how the expansion draft is what it was called back then. That's how it worked. Each team in the NBA got to protect their first 8 players, and the last 4 players on the team, on every team, were able to be selected
they were up for the ante.
Yeah, to make the one expansion team, and I happened to be selected in the expansion draft to Orlando, and I was super excited because I knew that there wouldn't be any all-stars that you had to sit behind. And kind of watch them. So the 12 to 15 players that came to Orlando, it was a clean slate.
Yeah.
So the best players on opening night, and that was my goal, to be one of the best players on the team that would start on opening night.
Yeah.
That was my goal once I knew I was going to be going to Orlando. And to reach that goal was special in my career, to be called out in the starting 5 on the opening night.
On the opening night.
Yeah, so
I think I still have a ticket or something. I'm not even sure about that, but that was, oh man, that team was fire. You guys used to just kill it.
And so we didn't win a lot.
No, but
we did have a good team,
yes,
and we had to, go through some growing pains and get our butts kicked a few times. But we played well, and we were mostly veteran players. The only rookie was Nick Anderson, who was the first draft pick of the Orlando Magic, and still a great friend of mine today. So
shout out to Nick.
Yeah, shout out NA. So he was our rook. He was the new kid on the block. Snot nose, just learning his way around. And I think at that time I was 5 years in. That was my 5th year in the NBA, so I was a veteran at the time. And knew my way around.
And doing some investments, you opened up a venue.
Yeah, opened up Heroes Nightclub in Eatonville, Florida, which is a historically famous town in Florida. Heroes happened to be.
I think they're the oldest incorporated city
in America.
in America, black owned. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, boy, you something about trailblazing it.
Yeah.
You think back, there was a lot of firsts,
Yeah. Well, Heroes was special to me because I was. Had come into this money as a kid coming out of Brooklyn and the projects in Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Yeah, Brownsville.
Which is probably one of the most dangerous, still to this day, one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in America.
Yes.
Big up Brownsville, but yeah. So I got the idea for Heroes, which was. From a Spike Lee movie. I was on an airplane going somewhere, flying somewhere to play during the season, and I had gone to. It used to be called Mr. B's when I first moved to Orlando.
Yeah, Mr. B's. So from the Bing family.
It was it was the only black club in town.
Yeah.
And so we used to flock to Mr. B's. They played good music, and so the atmosphere was good. The ceiling leaked a little bit in the club, but yeah, when it rained outside, it was a little leaky.
It added to the ambiance.
But it was a good spot for us to go hang out in, and so and being in there one day, I was thinking like, wow, this would be nice to totally flip this old club who was on the Chitlin circuit and
James Brown.
It was funny,
everybody, right?
Yeah. So when I finally bought it and we gutted it because I wanted to totally renovate it and turn it into basically a new club.
Yeah.
And get rid of that leaky ceiling and all of that kind of stuff. So,
which you did.
Yeah, I did that. And so when we were cleaning it out, we found these posters from the Chitlin circuit.
Yeah.
It was crazy that to find these posters, James Brown performing at Mr. B's and all of these famous black entertainers from back in the day performed there.
Yeah.
So it changed it when I found those things. Well, the previous owners had told me about that kind of stuff, but when I found those items in there,
to touch it,
and then I framed. I think I did frame a couple of them and put them on the walls because
I think you did. I think I recall.
So the name Heroes came from a Spike Lee movie, Do the Right Thing. Mm-hmm. When the guy was in the pizzeria and he looks on the walls and he's like, "Hey Sal, why ain't no brothers on the wall in here?" Because the pizzeria was in the hood.
Right.
Why ain't no brothers on the wall in here? And Sal's answer to him is what made me come with Heroes. Mm-hmm. Sal's answer was, when you get your own pizzeria, you can put who you want to put on the walls. Mm-hmm. And that stuck with me. That really stuck with me. So, and so when I did Heroes, I was going to put who I wanted to put on the walls because it was my spot.
That's right.
And so I did that. I put all of these iconic figures on the walls.
Yeah.
I went shopping for all of these pictures around, and I from Richard Pryor to James Brown to Marvin Gaye, Mandela.
Right.
Just countless. Everywhere you looked in Heroes, there was pictures around of iconic black figures.
Yes.
And so that's what the name Heroes came from. Mm-hmm. And I was so proud to do that. And when people came in, when I finally opened up the doors, the love of the people just made me feel like I did the right thing.
I can remember it like you absolutely did the right thing, and I can remember you were doing valet parking. I mean, it was very, very just. It was well put together, polished operation.
It was upscale. It was upscale. It went from a juke joint to an upscale nightclub.
That's right. That's right.
And I was proud of that.
Yeah,
very proud
as you
of that.
should be. As you should be. So let's go ahead and wrap this up a little bit, because we could talk forever.
Yeah, we could go on. We can really go on. We got history.
We got history. We got stories. Oh my gosh! And if you ever know the game The Sims, we have a lot of people we're connected to that's connected to other people that.
No, we didn't throw in the part that Niecy D was an employee.
That's right.
We didn't throw that part in. That's where.
This is my former boss, guys.
That's where.
Wait, was I okay as an employee?
You were a great employee.
Okay, whoosh.
You were a great employee, and my customers loved you.
Yes.
So that was great. You were great for business.
Thank you.
And
Holla.
and you're still great for business today.
Thank
So
you.
So
we got to definitely do something again for sure, because you got my support, and I'm so grateful. You always support every effort. You've never told me no. Do you realize that?
Yeah.
You do.
That's why it was a no-brainer when you told me to invited me to come down to your situation.
Yes.
I was like, tell me when and where, and I'm there. So,
and I appreciate that. So anytime that I can reciprocate, you let me know.
Absolutely.
So when should we look out for this book? We definitely want to get this in the top sellers, and
Well, I've been mad at my ghostwriter. I'm gonna call you out, Jay, because I know you're gonna see this too. And it's been out of my hands.
Tighten up, Jay.
Jay Hill, you got to come with it, bro. These people are waiting for this book.
Hey, the people are waiting. They want to know the story.
And
let's tighten up.
That story is special, so tighten up. You heard Niecy D, tighten up, bro. So it should be coming. What's this? 21. I want to say by the end of 21, early 22, we should have it out.
All right, that sounds good. So let's see if I can remember some of the people that came through Heroes real quick. So I know you had comedy, you had performances, Collier, right?
Michael Collier, but more notable on the comedy tip.
Yeah.
Bernie Mac.
Yeah.
God bless my dude.
Yes, indeed.
I love that man.
Yes,
I miss him so much. Rest in peace.
Angel, yes.
Cedric the Entertainer, Monique.
I'm telling you, it's doing
Bill
it big.
Bellamy.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a lot of people who, before they got on TV and became famous, they performed at Heroes.
That's right. So Heroes was doing big things, man, big things. And Jerry's not finished. There's so much more to him. There's so much more. So we're looking forward to the book. You guys make sure you go to YouTube and check out The Ball Side Middle, a Brooklyn basketball story. Make sure you look at that. And I don't know, maybe we should do some pre-orders or something for the book. We want to make sure. You know what I'm saying? So how can people reach you? How do you want them to connect to you?
Well, I'm on Facebook more times than not. And that's Jerry Reynolds. You can put in Jerry Reynolds LSU or Jerry Reynolds Brownsville. It'll probably come up for you.
All right. And you already know I'm all over the place too. Instagram at Niecy D, Facebook Niecy D, DJ Niecy D, Twitter, all that. But listen, I appreciate you. I love you so much. And so you guys check us out. We're gonna have some more going on right here at the Niecy D Show. Again, we want to thank Blue Sky Media Group Studios. And other than that, stay safe, keep it pushing, and make sure you get the book when it comes out.
Thanks for having me, girl. Appreciate you.
Thanks for watching the Niecy D Show.